What's going on, guys? This is Top Tier Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm Antoine Steele, and I'm here to bring you some more Zefra duel videos. So in the last video we were going up against Necros, and it's the same deck that we used then, and the same one that I profiled about a week ago. Again, the only difference is that I'm using Ghost Ogre or Snow Rabbit instead of Effect Veiler. Today we're going to be going against Burning Abyss, so Veiler would actually be better, but I mean this is the deck I used in the last video, so I'm just going to roll with it. So, if you didn't see the last video, the strategy against Necros was to play slow, grind them out, force them to attack over your monster so you get the Yang Zing's effects, and then you can capitalize on that. Well, against Burning Abyss, because they can grind too, they can play slow, they can do all that just as well as we can, we don't really want to play that because they're better at it than we are. And then they also have answers to us playing slow and Virgil, because we can set a Yang Zing, they can summon Virgil, spin it back to our deck, we don't get the effect, and then we're just kind of at a loss. So, against Burning Abyss, we want to go off first. We want to get a hand where we can do a few combos, summon a monster they have trouble dealing with, like a Yazi or a Clearwing Synchro Dragon, and hopefully win off of that. And if they can get over it, and because Yazi floats, or we might have a creation or something like that, we'll be able to summon a Baxia and spin back whatever Yang Zing they summon, not Yang Zings they summon, but whatever Burning Abyss they summon, and then be able to capitalize on that. So the strategy is pretty much the opposite, whereas instead of trying to grind them out, we want to make the first strike and then go from there. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into the first duel. So I'm pretty bad at rock, paper, scissors, so he wins this one, and let's take a look at his hand. So we have a Chi-Win, a Bixie, Path, Divine Strike, and Zefra. This is an awful hand. We can't really do much with it. We have 2 normal summons and 2 dead cards. And then he opens up a tour guide. So we open bad, he opens good. Not a good combination. We can't use Path because we don't have any Yang Zings in the grave, and we don't have any Zefra in our extra decks, so Divine Strike's dead too. So he goes into a Dante. Who would have seen that coming? Mills a Graph and summons a Rubik, and then passes turn. With a back row, of course. Then he uses Skarm to get a Seer. And then we draw another Chi-Win, so we really can't do anything with this hand but, set a monster and pray to the great pharaoh, the Yugi gods, that he does not OTK us. So he summons a Libic and goes for a Virgil. And he's going to try to activate the effect here. And I tell him to hold up and maybe I'm thinking about something. But I know I don't really have any answers, so I just let him spin it back to the deck. I wanted to maybe bluff, but it didn't really work out that well. So he goes ahead and uses Dante's effect, mills a Seer, gets a Graph, goes to another Dante, then detaches Graph, gets Graph effect, and it's clear he's going to OTK me. So let's move on to the next game, and let's look at this hand. So this hand's, it's a little better. We still have 2 normal summons, which isn't ideal. Well, I guess 3 if you count Dragon. But we still have the Nub, Dragon, and Chi-Win, so it's a little bit better, but at the same time, it's not ideal. So we're just going to go ahead and set Chi-Win and pass turn. And at least in this hand, we do have, a Rhoda, so we do have a way to get other scales. So he goes ahead, summons the Rubik and something else, and goes into a Virgil again. So Virgil is, like I said before, Virgil is a very hard counter to what we like to do in this deck. So he spins back the Chi-Win and attacks for a good bit of damage. So we don't have much left, but we top deck at Terraforming, which can get us an Oracle. So that puts us in a pretty good position. So we're going to go ahead and use the Nub and use that to get one of our scales. So we go ahead and get a Zefra. And now we can use Rhoda to get another scale. We can get our Thuban. And now we can use Oracle. And again, so now that we have all these pendulum monsters, we can use Zefra's effect to make a Yazi. So we can make one of our level 4 monsters a tuner, and go into Yazi like that. So here, actually, I should have used Thuban's effect to destroy one of his monsters, but, I didn't think about it, and it didn't make too much of a difference because they both float anyways, but it doesn't make too big of a difference, but it was an option. So here we go into the Yazi, like I said, and Burning Abyss has a lot of problems dealing with the Yazi because the only outs are, Dark Hole, Raigeki, Crush Card, and F-Zero. So, what are the odds of them having a Raigeki or a Crush Card or Dark Hole? Those are really hard to come by. They're not going to get that every game, but I can get a Yazi every game. But he actually does have the Dark Hole this game. So, I kind of pay the price for that. So, I'm going for Yazi's effect, and then he's going for He has a graph, if I'm not mistaken, yeah. So he's going for Graph's effect, I'm going for Yaz's effect, and we're kind of waiting for each other to see what we do. But I decided just to summon my Chi like I'm gonna do, and so he decides to to go into a Farfa, obviously. So he summons another tour guide, because, I mean, he just opens well every single time, which destroys Farfa, triggers its effect, so he can banish Chi. He goes into a Dante, and then summons back his Virgil for game, so let's go into the next game. So, let's look at this hand. And this hand's actually pretty good. We don't have any normal summons, and then we have a Divine Strike. So that's actually a lot better than the hands we drew in the other games. So let's see what we can do with that. So he goes first and summons, what do you think? A Dante. Mills, doesn't mill too well though. A bunch of spells and traps, so I'm cool with that. So we're going to use Brio to search a scale, and when we set our scales, he uses Max C. And then I actually set my background past turn. I'm okay with him wasting a Max C, because he didn't really have any monsters in graveyard or anything, so I didn't think he had the means to really do much damage. And it was a good call, because he just turns Dante to attack and attacks me for 25, and that's it. So he summons a Rubik sets too, so I'm reading that he has a Fire Lake, obviously. So I'm trying to think, how can I bait out this Fire Lake? So I go to Pendulum Summon first, and before we can, before we can Fire Lake my scales, at least. I use that to get an Oracle. So now I'm going to play Oracle, and I hope he plays Fire Lake, but he doesn't, because I want him to destroy my scales. Or Oracle. I don't want him to destroy my back row, because those are actually, useful. So I just go ahead and summon the Suwani, attack over the Rubik, and he does split the Fire Lake. And he does destroy my back row, unfortunately, but it's whatever. I just go ahead and swing for 1900, and, he doesn't really have too many cards left, because he did mill so badly with the Dante. So he uses Dante to get back a Barbar. When you're getting back a Barbar, it's usually not too good. So he just draws and sets the monster that he draws. So I jump on this opportunity, summon the Ghost Ogre, and go into a Yazi. And like I said, they have trouble getting over Yazi. So I'm going to go ahead and use Yazi's effect to destroy the back row. I'm not really worried about the monster. I'm really more worried about the back row. Because that can be, anything. So attacking the monster, and it's a Farfa. So Yazi can't be targeted, so Farfa's pretty much dead. So I'm going to go ahead and Pendulum Summon back the Zefra just so I have something to the tribute for Yazi's effect next turn. Or maybe he goes off and, Yazi, not Yazi, but, well, Yazi too, but they both float, so it can give me some advantage there. So that was good, that's why I did that. And Divine Strike will still be live, because I do have the Zephyr Saber in the extra deck. So let's move on to the next duel. So let's look at this hand, and we have, again, no normal summons, and a Raigeki, so, I mean, pretty good hand. Raigeki's not too good against Burning Abyss, but, it's a good card. So he goes ahead, special summons a Barbar, summons a Graph, goes into a Dante, and then mills a bunch of spells and traps again. So that's, bad luck, but tough break, I don't mind. And we draw an Oracle, so that's awesome. So we're going to go ahead and try to do a bunch of our searching at the same time. So we activate the Terraforming and the Rhoda, and the Oracle and the Deneb. So then we go ahead and play the Oracle. I don't know what I'm thinking about, but yeah, there we go. Plays the Oracle, gets a Zefra, summons the Neb to get one of our scales, and then we're going to just Pendulum Summon the Zefra, get a Creation, one of the best cards in the deck, set that and pass. His monsters have pretty high defense, so there's not really much we could do. And then you don't want to ride Geki against that field, because, I mean, he still has 4 cards in hand. We had 3 at the time, but he still had a lot of cards in hand, and they both float, so that's not good. So then he goes ahead and gets himself a Rubik and goes into a Virgil. And, I mean, this time we're not really too worried about Virgil, because the main card that we use to float is going to be Creation. So unless he spins Creation back to the deck, then we're okay. But he actually chooses to spin back our scale, which is fine by me because we have a lot more of those. So he attacks into the Neb, and I played Creation, and that's going to get us a Jiaotu. So now I'm thinking we're in position to Baxia his whole field. So this is exactly what I was talking about earlier, but then unfortunately he does have an answer for us in the form of a Raigeki. So that's why he spun the scale, because I guess he was thinking he can clear the field and then get rid of our pendulum scale, and then I'd be shit out of luck. But wrong idea. So yeah, actually I accidentally summoned the Chi-Win in defense, where Jiaotu has to summon it in attack. So he's saying, I thought it summoned it in attack, and I'm like, yeah, I wish. So he sets up back row passes, and then uses Scarm to get a Seer. And then, actually right now I wasn't too sure what to do. But then after a while it took me, a second to realize when you have Creation and a Yangzing, and they have monsters in attack, you can kind of do whatever you want. So we're actually going to play the Oracle, use that to get our second scale, and he Mind Crushes it. Which is, again, okay. It's okay to get rid of the scales because there's always more in this deck. The deck is built so that you do always have your scales. So, just like that, we discard the Brionac, get on other scale, and then we crash into the Virgil. So that's going to trigger T-Win and Creation. It's going to let us get 2 monsters from the deck. And, like I said, we're going to get Jiaotu and Zefra, summon the Baxia, spin back his Burning Abyss monster so they don't get the effect. We can use Baxia's effect to bring back Jiaotu. So since Creation's gone now, we can Pendulum summon from the extra deck. So we're going to do that to get back a Zefra, and we're going to get rid of the Dubin in our hand by summoning it. So since we don't have a hand, I figured what would be a good thing to go into would be Void Ogre. Then we use Oracle to put a Shaddoll Hedgehog on top of the deck, so if he does have a comeback play, the Hedgehog's going to let us get a fusion and we can come right back. But then after that, he doesn't really have an answer, and so he just admits defeat on that one. And so that's kind of how you have to play against Burning Abyss. If you really want to jump on them as quick as possible and, summon a monster they can't really deal with. And then if you can catch them off guard, leaving their Burning Abyss on the field, then you go for Baxia as soon as possible and spin them right back to the deck so they don't get the effects. And then try to play from there. But one thing you can't do is you can't try to grind out against Burning Abyss for too long. Because they have the answers and they grind too. So it doesn't really play in our favor. So that's actually all I have for today, guys. Sorry I didn't have any more duels. I want to keep this video a little bit shorter. I mean, the last 2 were like 16, 17. I think one was 18 minutes long. So I don't want to keep you guys waiting for too long. So guys, look forward to the next videos. I'm actually gonna make a Red Eyes video coming up soon, a deck profile of that, maybe a few duel videos, combo videos, things like that. But I'm really looking forward to this next set, Clash of Rebellions. So I have a lot of content in the store for that. So look forward to that, guys. And thanks for watching.